Hey, what's up, everybody? It's been a little while.
Yeah, what
I
I don't
I
know what
might
happened with
say.
that.
Yeah, I'm. Life finds a way, though, I guess, because somehow in the year 2024, Ethan Johnson and I are recording a Dog Talk episode. I don't know what this is about.
I don't know either, man. This is the oldest, well, I guess the newest of the oldest tradition of the Poodawg3 channel. It feels like, you know, this used to be one of my favorite things, and then, you know, we realized it was kind of difficult to do.
Yeah, one of the biggest things that we realized was like so difficult was the fact that we had our face cams, and one of the biggest issues we had with the original Dog Talk to begin with was the fact that we had to, for some reason, I guess Ethan and I had never seen like a real podcast before because we
Must have.
both had we must not have because Ethan and I both had the crazy idea to edit each of the dog talks like an actual video, and we would record for an hour without any like preparing or anything. We would just say like what comes to our brain, and we wouldn't like make a list of anything.
I I know like not Dog Talk isn't like the most popular thing even on this channel, and definitely not on YouTube. But so I don't know how many people actually saw the Aiden Avocado episode, but that took me like an actual week. Like it was summertime or it was on some sort of school break. I took the entire week, like not like oh I was doing other stuff and it took me. No, like I woke up, worked on it, stayed up till 3 in the morning working on it, and then woke up the next day, worked on it more. An entire week of that, like 7 days to edit one episode.
Yeah, and Dog Talk is not definitely not a very popular podcast, and it was not being called back for popular demand. I just, you know, sometimes I don't have time to make a Poodawg 3 video during the week because I get busy, and I this whole time where Dog Talk was on a huge hiatus, I kept saying to Ethan, you know what we should do? We should bring back Dog Talk. That could be fun. And then he'd say like, "Oh no, Poo Dog, I don't want to bring back Dog Talk because we hated editing those. Remember?" Well, what if we just didn't use our cameras and we just talked and tried not to have dead space? And Ethan, he miraculously agreed to that. So this isn't really episode 1 of Dog Talk, more as if it's going to be kind of an introduction to Dog Talk season 2, I guess. Is that what we're calling it?
Yeah, I think Dog Talk season 2 Electric Boogaloo, but it'll just be shortened to Dog Talk season 2.
Yeah, something like that. But we're going to use this episode because we don't, ironically enough, we sit down to make this Dog Talk and we're short on time already.
Yeah.
But we've got a list of every single Dog Talk we did in season 1, which there's 6, so it's not a lot.
Yeah.
And we're gonna say what went wrong with each of those episodes and which ones and why we kind of stopped doing these.
It was going really good at first, and then I think about halfway, especially the later half, it was kind of like, this is kind of a lot of work. The content's not that good. No one's watching it. Why are we doing this anymore?
Yeah, it was kind of like a mixture between no one's watching this, which now if you go back and look at those, they do pretty well. I mean, some of the podcast episodes have up to like maybe 150 views, which isn't the worst for especially for my channel. But it's I don't know, it's a lot of work when you're zooming in on the screens of everybody and
Yeah.
stuff. And we don't have an editor.
Especially when you're like stupid like me and you think people like actually watch podcasts instead of like listen to them in the background. So you're like, oh, what's a funny bit I can do on the screen? And so you like play Smash Brothers and record it and make them like fight each other on the game. And then you like
Yeah.
make them do like little bits like on the screen that like unless you're paying attention you won't see. Yeah. Why did I do that? There's no
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, because now I listen to podcasts more than ever because, I'm a typical college student. So I listen to podcasts and it's, I don't watch it. I don't watch any of the podcasts. If they had on a random podcast motion tracked face of someone
I wouldn't know.
as Captain Falcon, I wouldn't know. I would have no idea because I'm not watching, like, actively watching the podcast.
Like I back then I never watched podcasts, or I guess listen. Now I listen to podcasts almost every day because I put my AirPods in at work and I listen. And, like, I actually go through the work to turn off the video. Like, I had to go into settings of my Spotify to make it where videos won't play because they annoyed me. I don't want to see it. So, yeah.
You can go.
But speaking of these old podcasts, I think should we start looking at them?
Yeah, I mean, it was like a 6-minute intro, so I think we could start looking at them. The first episode, those of you who have never seen the Dawg Talk podcast season 1, which don't feel the need to go watch it.
Yeah, don't.
You don't have. Yeah, you don't have to. We started this little idea sometime around April 12th, 2021, because that is the date that this came out. I do believe that we might have filmed this on our guest star for this episode's birthday, because that's in April, and that sounds like something we would do.
It might have been.
Because Rajan, Ratman, is the special guest for Dawg Talk episode 1. You can say your issues first.
At work one day, I was, like, really bored. And I was like, well, let me go listen to all of Dawg Talk. Because I was like, let me see if this is... I tried to watch episode 1. I had to stop. Because, there's a lot of dead space. Where it's like, I would, like, actually get up and walk away. And y'all would just, like, stare. And it's just kind of weird because it's so old. And you can tell it's old because we're talking about, like, the stuff we were doing at that time. And we're like, oh, yeah, Andrew... I don't think you guys know Andrew, and it's like...
that's crazy to think about, just because of the fact
like
that how big Andrew's been on here.
We were talking about, like...
This was before any of the Poodawg movies.
It was before any of that, where, like, the biggest thing you'd ever done was, like, the Family Guy video. I don't know why, like, at that time, I was chosen as, like, oh, we'll do a Dawg Talk, me and you. Because at that time, I hadn't really done anything on the channel.
I think that was the... So, I mean, I guess we should kind of talk about, like, the origin of Dawg Talk. I think I remember specifically... I don't know why specifically this detail, but I remember I was playing, like, Super Mario 3D World for the Nintendo Switch. Yeah. And I was talking to you, and, like, it was a really late night Discord, and we were like... Yeah, we're totally awesome, and we've done so much stuff. And at this time, I had like 300 subscribers.
I think at the time I had like 27 still.
I think this is the time when my channel was like... Was it the time when my channel was blowing up? Because... or it had blown up, I think.
It was like around... I think you had like around 400 subscribers at the time. Like, I don't think you had 500. You had like 460-ish.
Did I have 1,000?
I don't think so. 1,000 was like way later, I think.
But this was 2021.
I thought... It might be when you had 1,000. It might be around.
Well, you talk about more problems while I go check it out.
Okay, yeah. So the issue with like the first Dawg Talk, we literally had no ideas what we were talking about. We were just like, oh, we'll talk. So we go on to there, and it's just kind of like the audio's bad, the video's bad. Like, you can tell. I think Poodawg was like actually using his phone. Rajan was definitely using his phone. Like, it's so bad.
I was using my computer. I remember that. Rajan was using his phone. Like, he was in a Zoom call for, like, class.
And,
like,
Rajan, for most of it, was kind of just like, oh, yeah? Like, he was kind of, like, not really there. He was just kind of like, yeah. Like, that kind
And I'm
of
sure
stuff.
he, like, appreciates the fact that we had him as our first guest, and that he forever will be the first guest of Dawg Talk ever. But then again, I think that one of the issues that we had with Dawg Talk Season 1 was that we had to have a guest every episode for some reason.
Which, like, I get it. It's because we wanted to have that third person there, but we didn't really... Another thing is, when we were first making Dawg Talk, we kind of wanted, like, Zach to be the third person, or someone like that. Someone like one of the other people that a lot of y'all would know now from the movies. We were kind of trying to figure out who it could be. So I'm pretty sure what we were trying to do with the first season was we were gonna have all these guest stars, and then based on who we like the best, we are gonna pick to be like our new co-host. Because I specifically remember us talking about like, oh, we should have Zach as our thing, but then we.
But
didn't
I remember
because
Zach was so busy. Yeah, he was always so busy.
Like he was, for some reason, he couldn't even like talk to us a lot of times. He'd be like, "No, I'm doing this or doing that," and then instead of us just being like, "Okay, well then we'll use QSTS Sniper," we just were like, "Nah, let's just have a bunch of random things, and also we'll have guests." But we won't give them topics either or tell them anything before. It's just like, oh, you want to be on Dawg Talk? Okay, call.
Yeah, and it was kind of like, it was almost as if we were trying to do an interview with like celebrities. Like I've seen a lot of those podcasts now where they sit down with a special guest for the episode, and it's like an interview. Like if there's like Ryan Gosling or something on a podcast, which I don't think that even exists, but like you would talk to him about like movies he's done or things that have gone on in his life, and he can further elaborate on it, because all a podcast is just two guys talking in a room. But we really wouldn't make the podcast like oriented around them. It would kind of just be like, oh yeah, we're gonna do episode whatever, we're gonna talk about like Marvel or something for some reason.
The other thing is, even if we did have an episode like that, none of the people we interviewed had enough life experience or had enough stories and anything to actually like tell us like, oh yeah, this is a time I did this, like besides like very like kind of basic stuff, because we were all like I think when the first Dawg Talk was made, I was like maybe a freshman or sophomore in high school.
So, okay, I have my answer for that. I was hoping that I could segue into this. So this was uploaded, of course, as I said previously, April 12th, 2021. So it was filmed somewhere at the beginning of April, end of March. The video I uploaded before Dawg Talk podcast episode 1 was the I surpassed 1,000 subscribers video.
Okay, so it's right when you were blowing up.
Yeah, it was like right when I was blowing up. Post Five Nights at Freddy's taking over my channel. Post FNAF meme compilation volume 3, all that. So I had 1,000 subscribers. So I thought I was like the best YouTuber ever.
So that's why you thought you needed to make a podcast.
Yeah, I thought I needed a podcast because I was like, I've done it all. I'm making a movie. I'm doing this. What's next, Ethan? What do we do? And then he was like, well, you don't have a podcast. And I was like, well, let's make a podcast. So then again, we tried to test out people who we were going to do. 100% who was supposed to be guest number 3. Well, not guest number 3. Host number 3 of Dawg Talk was Zach. That's why he's episode 2, because he's probably busy the first episode. He was just always so busy and stuff. Even in his episode where which maybe I'll save that. I'll save that for whenever we get there. But do you want to get there? I don't think there was any issues.
Over there now. I don't have too many other issues with episode 1 besides just it's so old now that there's really no point in watching it, because anything we talk about is kind of nonsense, because it's either we were literal like children just talking about random stuff, or it's just like irrelevant now because it's all been like, oh, the thing actually came out that we were talking about.
Yeah, it's like if we're giving predictions on like what's going to happen in a movie or something. But anyways, Dawg Talk episode 2 with Zach came out June 29th, 2021. And before I started recording today, I said, hey, Ethan, if you want to bring back Dawg Talk, what should be our upload rate? He said we should do once a month. So far, we're keeping that schedule in this season 1. Also, I don't know if we're doing once a month. It's kind of probably be kind of however we feel, unless we end up getting a fan base for Dawg Talk somehow.
If Dawg Talk miraculously blows up, I'm down to do it literally every day. I don't care if you guys want it like that, but I highly believe that it's going to get maybe 80 views.
Yeah. I think Dawg Talk, though, we'll keep it kind of as like a bi-weekly series. That's what we'll try to do, at least.
Yeah.
And I'll still that's what is another issue that I had with season 1, was I would spend like a month editing Dawg Talk. So it would just be like a month where I didn't upload, and then there would be like a month where I was just filming and editing Dawg Talk. It was just like I was gone for like a whole month out of the year because I was editing Dawg Talk. And then it would get like maybe like 160 views and nobody would really care. So I just wasted a whole month of my life for no reason.
I also think this is going back to episode 2. Like the Zach episode, it might actually be the best episode Dawg Talk we ever made.
Oh yeah, I think that's our peak. That's our peak for sure.
Because after there, it's like actually downhill. I'm almost certain.
It is.
Like that one, we kind of did something funny. We were doing like Zoom calls, so we were messing with like Zoom, like with the features in there, which definitely saved you. You didn't have to edit as much, and we kind of had stuff planned to talk with Zach, if I remember right, or at least
I think so. I do think so.
There wasn't as much dead space in that one. That one, like I think you can still go back today and watch it, and it's not as bad as like episode 1.
I'm looking through the chapters right now, and a lot of what we talked about on there was a lot of like green screen bits, but we do have at least 3 sections that are just labeled chaos.
Because we were probably just like screaming at each other.
Screaming at each other for like no reason, which like, yeah, if it was a normal YouTube video, I guess I'd be fine. We also have a lot of like, this was the episode where we actually kind of had a gimmick besides the Zoom call thing, and it was like, Zach versus whatever, who would win?
Yeah, we kept matching him up.
We kept matching him up against stuff, which was nonsensical as hell. And then we see another issue with these that I've noticed is we try to talk about like the Poodawg movie or something, but we kind of just have to be like, yeah, guys, you'll see, I guess. I don't know, but
like
now I think we're at a point
to, like, actually hype it up or talk about it.
But
we still wanted to talk about it.
Yeah. Whereas now I think we're at a point in our lives where we've worked on, like, I'm not saying we worked on like a million movies, but I think we worked on like enough film sets.
Like 13 movies now?
Maybe about 13 projects with like probably at least maybe like 50 days.
I mean, let me
working on a movie.
Let me recount for some people. They're technically not movies. They're short films mostly, but.
Are you gonna say the names, or are you gonna go look it up? Do you want me to yap?
I'm leaving it ambiguous. They know.
Oh,
they know.
Okay.
They know.
See, that was. I feel like that was another issue with Dawg Talk season 1. We'd just be like, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. We're big enough.
No, I'm not saying we're big enough. I just don't. Look, I'm talking about Rajan here. Rajan, he likes to say that they're short films when I call them movies.
Is Rajan going to be the new Zach of season 2, where we have to bring him up every single episode?
We don't have to.
I don't know. I do remember that was like ever since the Zach episode, that was like a bit after. We'd always be like, well, remember Zach did this one time? And we're like, why do we always bring up Zach?
So, segueing over to the 3rd episode, which is Taylor Tot. Why, out of anyone possible, we could have did like Game Bro Jr., we could have did QSTS Sniper, we could have did anyone else who's been on your channel before. I think he was supposed to be the one. I think he was supposed to be the one that we did, actually, QSTS Sniper. But we chose Taylor Tot, who, does he even have a YouTube anymore? I don't think he does. No, he doesn't. And he does not. I think Poodawg knows him personally. I had never met the guy. I talked to him like maybe a few times before this. I don't remember this episode being particularly good. And looking at it, he doesn't even have like a camera either. So like, why the hell do we have cameras? So, like, what was the point? I just don't know. Like, I'm not. If Taylor, if you're watching this, I'm not trying to be like mean to you. I'm just like genuinely questioning, why did we choose you out of like, because there's other people who are more relevant to the channel at the time. Yeah, I mean, Taylor had been on stuff before, and now looking at the Fix Your Channel for like a very short bit. Yeah, and he was just kind of like a fan of like my work. But I'm looking at the chapters in this, and I'm noticing that we did have a lot of Taylor-oriented questions, which Taylor, I'm not saying anything bad about your old videos, but
I am saying that uh, your channel was not very like big, so why the hell, hypothetically, would people care about it? The only person of note that we talked about in this is freaking Garrett the Carrot, who has like 3 million subscribers now. For some reason, he if anybody's watching this and you don't know who Poodawg3 is, and you've watched 20 minutes into this and you do know who Garrett the Carrot is, yeah, we kind of know Garrett the Carrot. Like, is a mutual person that we know
I just
through this episode's guest.
I don't get, like, I'm not trying to say anything, but like we focus so much on Taylor Tot, but why?
Exactly.
Especially because this is like, oh, we're starting with this. We're trying to figure out, like, we're just talking to people, and we choose someone who's like not very big on the channel, and someone who, like me as a second co-host, didn't really know too good.
Mm-hmm. Like, I think, I don't even think at this point, the only guest you really knew a lot in
Zach.
all of these episodes was Zach, and then eventually QSTS Sniper. Like, Rajan, you weren't very close to at the time.
I wasn't, but he was. I knew him more because he was a big part of the movie that we were working on at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think this should have 100% just been like a us episode. We should have had an episode like to ourselves.
And we talked about that many times. I think we even filmed one, but I didn't even edit it, and it just kind of got lost to time.
Now segueing over to the next episode. This is actually my least favorite episode of Dawg Talk. Not because I think it's like bad. I mean, it's not the worst, but it's also not the best. I had this idea. So episode 4 is after the first Poodawg movie came out. Poodawg movie 3. Or Poodawg 3 movie, my bad.
Yep.
We watched it all together, like the cast. And then after, I had this idea that right after everyone's first seen it, fresh off their minds, we'd have this, basically like an interview, that's the episode of Dawg Talk, where we ask everyone like these questions, and like how they liked the movie, what they thought. But then everyone just kind of treated it like a joke, like the questions.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really done very well, this episode. So
it wasn't, because I feel like in a situation like this, there would need to be like multiple camera angles, stuff like that. But this was kind of just a still shot on a bunch of people who had already been there for like almost an hour, probably more, and it was just all on a couch. Rajan even gets up and leaves at one point because we asked him to go put on the Rat God costume. So we lose a whole guest for like a good like 5 to 10 minutes.
But like no one like actually answers the questions good, and then we have like a little bit that happens in the middle where like QSTS Sniper, I think, is getting a call, and he's like acting like it's some scandalous call.
Yeah, he gets a call from his like sister, I think, and even though he's on a podcast, he still decided to answer. That was another big issue with Dawg Talk Season 1, is every episode I felt like somebody would just have to go get interrupted, and then we'd leave halfway through, and then we wouldn't cut any of that out or anything. Like, when we have to finish this episode and if we're not done talking,
yeah,
I feel like we can just not say that, oh, well, Ethan has to go, how about we end the episode, or I just keep talking until Ethan comes back. Like, no, just cut it off for a second.
Yeah.
If you want to be funny, do the SpongeBob however minutes later, and then
there's
continue.
much better ways to do it. That's all that needs to be said, is you can just do like a cutaway, and probably no one will notice. Or if you really have to, if you really feel like people are gonna know, then you just say, "Oh, hold up, guys, I'll be right back," but you won't notice because I'm gonna cut it, and then you cut it.
And if it's like a really quick thing, like, hold on, let me go open my door real quick just to make sure somebody didn't knock on it. Yeah, we don't need to cut that out, because I feel like if it's like a 2-second little trip, And nobody's even gonna notice. All these times Ethan was talking, I could have been running circles around my room, and just because there's no camera, none of you would have noticed.
I
I I don't know what was wrong with us with the fact that we couldn't like carry the conversation. Maybe that's what it was. That was the big issue. I felt like we couldn't really carry anything.
I think our commentary was just not very good at this point. We were still very young. Like I think at this point, when did this one come out? August
This one came
18th.
out.
I was either on summer break after my freshman year. When this was posted, I was on summer break after my freshman year of high school. So, like in relation, most
I was
of the
after
people are a little bit
sophomore.
older than that because I'm the youngest. But still, everyone's kind of baby mode. But I genuinely do feel like episode 4 would be like an actual, really interesting idea if we could get everyone to take it a little bit more seriously. Where, because every time we're done making the movies, everyone always has these like, oh no, my favorite part was this, and oh I love this. I remember when we did this, and like we can have these like actual conversations, but in this we don't have it.
I remember after the second movie, we had a whole bunch of good conversations about, oh, we need to do this, we need to do this, we need to do this.
And that would have been perfect.
It would have been perfect, but we just weren't doing Dawg Talk then. And the idea of Dawg Talk had me kind of like, I don't want to do that because it's hard to edit and blah, blah, blah. And you want to know why? You want... Little one viewer that's listening right now after this 27-minute yap sesh, you want to know why we hate editing Dawg Talk and what kind of like pushed us away from the kind of idea of Dawg Talk. I will say that this one was quite difficult for me to edit because my house was amidst a hurricane whenever it was almost time to edit this. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't really feel like editing in a hurricane. That was kind of hard to rebound from. But I'm going to move on to episode 5, which featured the friend of the channel, Aiden Avocado, and was posted on March 1st, 2022. Fun fact, I remember when this was filmed. I remember this was filmed January 1st, 2022, because on New Year's Eve, me and Ethan's New Year's resolution for 2022 was the fact that we were going to bring back Dawg Talk. And I don't know if you can tell, but we didn't.
So, with this episode, what went really wrong, it goes back to what Poodawg was saying just a second ago, where we would leave and not cut anything out, but instead of us leaving, Aiden Avocado literally left for like 20 minutes. So... It was just pretty much me and Poodawg by ourselves for a good bit of this podcast. And then also there was a lot of dead time. I edited this one. This is the one that took me a week to edit. So I think we didn't really have too much planned. There was a lot of dead time. So that's why if you watch, I kind of went crazy with the editing because the footage was just kind of really boring. So I think I felt the need to kind of push it over the edge to make it a little bit more enjoyable. But it has 65 views.
Yeah.
To this day.
Still, to this very day. Because not only do I think Dawg Talk fell off, we did another faceless, like, creator on Dawg Talk when we were doing face cams.
And then the other thing, so at the time, Aiden Avocado did have a channel. It was not very big, but he had a channel. His channel's completely gone now. And he also, this is one that actually never collaborated with the channel. He's a big fan, so he probably is watching this right now. So Aiden.
Yeah, hey Aiden. I know you saw Aiden. You're definitely 30 minutes in right now, and I know you saw the Dawg Talk title, and you were like, "Oh, what? They brought Dawg Talk back?"
I'm just gonna say it, man. You were not a very good guest.
Which I will add, we were 16, I think, when we filmed this one. I think Aiden. He had to be like 9. What the hell were we doing putting a 9-year-old on Dawg Talk?
He was a big fan, and we didn't know his age at the time. Like, we didn't know how much younger or older he was than us. We just knew he was in the Poodawg3 Discord server because Poodawg had it linked in his description. He joined. He was friends with Taylor Tot, friends with Garrett the Carrot. That grew. crew.
The Food Squad.
And he would talk with us sometimes, and so we were like, oh, well, who should we do a dog talk with? And Aiden was like the first person to join in the voice chat on Discord. So we're like, okay, we'll do it with him.
Yeah.
Once again, we didn't really plan too much to talk about.
Yeah.
We had
I think
some, like,
this one
stuff. This one was a bit
I
better.
think we were planning stuff since episode 2, and then we got a little better in episode 3 because we did like the Food Squad stuff. And then episode 4, we had like generic questions, like who's your favorite character, what's your favorite scene, what do we do next? And then in this one, I think we prepared questions, but we went back to the fact that we kind of talked about a bunch of random stuff. Like, we had a whole bit in here that I thought was hilarious, where I found this guy on TikTok doing a car ad, and his name was Jim Woods, and he had a little dog in his hand, and I, for some reason, said, here's a word from our sponsor. And then when Jim Woods talked about his little car company for a hot minute.
It's literally like a full minute of just this random guy. And then I'm almost certain with this one, we were on our topics. We talked for a bit about them. And then we stopped. We stopped for a while because we ran out. We didn't have enough topics prepared. So if you go towards like the end, it's just kind of like randomness. Like actual like the things get so short. It was not the best episode, and this was the episode that kind of put us into the rut of, okay, well, we're not doing Dog Talk, because we had episode 4, which, let's see how many views does that have? 118. That's actually pretty good, but I think it's because it has the Poodawg3 movie in the title.
Which I also think is because we were, at that point, we were doing Dog Talk like every month.
Yeah.
And at this point, we had taken like
almost
4 months off of almost half the year off of Dog Talk. And then eventually we just decided, hey, let's do Dog Talk again. And then I got the footage from Dog Talk, and somebody's air condition was loud as hell in the background. And I was aggravated editing that. It took to me sending it over to Ethan, and Ethan edited it. He, just like he said earlier, he spent a week editing it, went crazy with it. And then it was all for nothing, kind of, because no one really cared about Dog Talk at that point. I'm not saying people care about Dog Talk right now. All I'm kind of saying is that I've been making the director's commentaries.
For very little return.
Yeah, and I've been making those director's commentaries on Poodawg Plus. I was originally going to put Dog Talk on Poodawg Plus, but Ethan said we should just do it as a Poodawg3 thing. I mean, it's a Poodawg3 original thing. And I kind of am now trying to approach Dog Talk with the same mindset as approaching the director's commentaries. If you watch it, you watch it. Like Ethan said, and I rudely interrupted him a few seconds ago, there wasn't a lot of return for us. So I think now we're putting in about the same amount of effort as we will get in return. So I think it will work out a little better.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ethan, you can go.
I think especially at this, like, we came at it, we were like, oh yeah, Dog Talk, I mean, it's really not that bad. We just talk and we post it. We don't have to edit that much. And then we had Aiden, who at this time, we picked a really bad time to record because he had to go eat dinner, and then he had to go take a shower. He had to do all this stuff at the time of recording. I mean, and instead of just
if I was nine, I would have listened to my parents too and went go do all that.
But like, instead of us being like, okay, well, maybe we won't do this one, maybe we'll scrap this one and record someone else, we stuck with it, and we were like, okay, let's use this footage, and we will just edit it and put it out. And it took us like 2 months to edit it fully. We uploaded it after putting so much effort into this for it to get 65 views, and we were just defeated. So then we go over to episode 6, which is the it's the second in-person podcast, but episode 4 is kind of different. Episode 6 is the first like regular Dog Talk that's just in person.
because we figured it would be a lot easier to just like film it, and then there will be a lot less of like zoom ins on certain people's cameras and stuff. Because we thought, oh well, maybe that's the issue. Maybe the issue is we got to zoom in on everybody's cameras and stuff. Also, the issue could have been the editing software that Ethan and I were using. Here is a word to the wise: if you're trying to do crazy stuff on YouTube, do not get Adobe Premiere Elements. Do not use it.
Elements is great for very small, like, oh, I'm going to cut this little bit out this video. I'm going to add text. Other than that, no.
If you're trying to make really cool videos, listen to the people on YouTube. Do not use Adobe Premiere Elements. Adobe Premiere Pro is so much better. I get it for free because of my college. So, I mean, I can talk about it, I guess. But it is so much better, so much user-friendly. It takes a hot minute to get used to, especially if you're coming from a editing software that's not as good, like Adobe Elements. But we edited all of these on like Adobe Elements, and so was like all my videos. If you're trying to do crazy stuff on YouTube, it doesn't really have the tools for you to do that crazy stuff. If you're like a mom trying to like put a bunch of camcorder footage together to make home videos for your kid, go ahead, use Elements. But like if you're trying to make crazy cool YouTube videos, do not use Elements. And that, I think that could have been problem 2 with us trying to do the zoom ins and stuff. But yeah, do you have any other glaring issues from episode 6?
I just think we came at this with no topics again, and it just kind of, after this one, I edited it again. I was kind of burnt out from it because it, once again, even though this one was like half the length of the other one, it was 20 minutes, and it was a lot
which we,
less
by the way,
edited.
but by the way, we have surpassed that already in this episode.
It was still like, it was still hard to edit for me. Like, I had to put in a lot of effort into this, and it was just too much. And I was just like, yeah, maybe we won't do it, because
Yeah.
we weren't thinking about it right, and we also weren't that good at commentary either at the time. I still don't think I'm the best at commentary.
But we have time to learn on these audio-only dog talks. By the way, guys, these will all be audio-only. I don't know if I was, like, clear about that at the beginning.
And
But
I think that pretty much wraps up with our issues to the first ones. I know I kind of was hating on some of our guests. No hate to y'all. Y'all are, it's not y'all's fault. It's really all, like, our fault. Because
it's our fault for, like, not preparing and using Fortnite Season 2 predictions as a category. If we were a Fortnite podcast, yeah, I think that would be
awesome, but we're
fine.
a podcast about a YouTube channel about, like, talking about other people's at the time, lazy. It was like FNAF, Fix Your Channel, and movie. That was it. What
That
were
was
we
it.
doing?
We did. I mean, this is a little. This is kind of off topic from talking about the previous dog talks, but I am trying to transition into more movie topics. So maybe in the future we'll do like a random dog talk review after we saw a movie that we really liked. That could be an interesting thing that we could do. Like the weekly episode could be that. But I don't know. I really think that we just really didn't have a good plan going into anything, and we would talk about current events, which I guess sometimes that works with podcasts, but they can get old really easy, especially if you don't watch it like as soon as it comes out, especially if you don't edit it as soon as you film it.
Yeah, because
you
we
know,
would talk about current events, wait like 2 weeks to edit it, spend like a week or more editing it, and then post it. And it's like, okay, well, that's a current event that happened like 2 months ago, dude.
yeah, like we'd talk about, oh yeah, Doctor Strange is coming out tomorrow. So what do y'all think is gonna happen in it? And then
By
we
the time
post
the
it
video's
like
posted, it's out of theaters.
it's out of theater. Yeah, like what? I was so. It was unreal how bad of timing we were at this point.
And
It's.
we just were young and dumb. Hopefully this time we can do it a bit better. We'll be a bit more planned out. But I mean, hey, if
and I'm
you've
gonna edit
listened
this.
far,
I'm gonna edit this time.
if you've listened this far into this little intro to season 2 of Dog Talk, you're probably gonna watch all of them anyways. So
Yeah. So guys, thank you for watching. If you've watched almost as long as the Poodawg movie 1 into this podcast, uh, listen to us yap for like 40 minutes about why Dawg Talk failed and why we thought before we started filming, oh yeah, if we talk about that, we might have some extra time to talk about some other stuff. No. But I guess our yapping skills have been upgraded since we were 16 years old, you know? I don't know what's up with us.
Since I was a freshman/sophomore in high school, yeah. Maybe it's a little bit different now that I've matured a little bit. I'm not like a little nervous baby bomb.
Yeah, I don't understand. I don't even understand why we try to do little baby us's trying to have a podcast. It's like those
we didn't even have like life stories to tell.
Oh yeah, man. Dude, yeah. Remember that time when I took that really hard test in English 1? Oh my god, yeah. That was such a hard day of my life, yeah. But that's pretty much it for that story. All right, guys, I'll see you next episode of Dawg Talk. Yeah, that wasn't gonna cut it, man. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, it wasn't the smartest thing for us to do, but I mean, hopefully this time we can be a bit better. So, hey, if you have watched this far, comment below. Forest Goblin is purple.
Yep, comment that he's purple. It's not true, but it's what we want you to comment. We're gonna, now that Ethan has done this is gonna be a new tradition on Dawg Talk. At the end of every episode, we're gonna say what you want to comment, and maybe if you guys are good, we'll hit you with some Poodawg trivia. We'll hit you with some Poodawg trivia.
Not Poodawg trivia. We cannot bring that back.
We're bringing Poodawg trivia back, baby. Okay, guys. Yeah, but that was it for kind of the introduction to season 2 of Dawg Talk. Sorry, guys, for not uploading Dawg Talk. You know, the one of you who's like a huge fan. But yeah, I hope you kind of understand why we didn't upload Dawg Talk now, and maybe we'll try to do better and make it up to you guys. So, any final thoughts, Ethan?
I just hope that we can actually make it and be consistent this time, and that we don't lie in this one and say, oh yeah, we're bringing it back, and then we don't post another one for 6 months.
I hope that we can stick to the bi-weekly stuff, but all right, guys, that's it. And I don't have an outro yet, so I'll see you guys next week.
Wait. I'm gonna come up with one.
Okay.
Don't gawk. We're just on Dawg Talk. There you go. That's the outro.
I'll see you guys next week.
See you guys.